Welcome to the latest episode of Construction Week's Expert Interview Series, which brings to you some of the most well-known names from the region's built environment who talk about everything from technologies to challenges, as well as what does the future behold for the construction industry. With us today is Tarek Shuaib, the CEO of PACE, one of the region's premier architecture, design, engineering, and planning firms. Thank you for joining us today on the show, Tarek.
Thank you for having me.
So I know, Tarek, PACE has been involved with the Amiri Diwan of Kuwait's Palace of Justice project, which recently marked the construction milestone. Could you shed some light on what makes this project unique for PACE and what are you planning to deliver?
This project is one of the unique projects for us in Kuwait, or in any career of any architecture firm, is how many times do you actually build the central court palace for Kuwait City, for the country of Kuwait. So we took it on quite seriously because it's a civic building. It's got to cater to the public. It's quite a sensitive function. It's got to serve its employees, from quite senior judges all the way through to professional lawyers, and then also the people who are coming there on a day-to-day basis. So we've been extremely lucky to be able to build two other typologies of court buildings in Kuwait, two sets of which we've done in Jahra and Farwaniya, and another one in another governorate in Hawali, which is about to finish. So we had the necessary expertise to do that. Mm-hmm. And we were mandated by Amiri Diwan to do the full architecture services here in Kuwait, as well as the project management and the ability to supervise the construction with our associates on site. So far to date, we've completed about 40% of the construction works. Once completed, this project has already been recognized internationally and nominated for some projects. It will really cater to most of the country of Kuwait in providing the premier appellate court and all the special courts that are required to cater for the whole country. We have a symbolic, modern, abstracted design where we have quite a, let's say, sturdy building from the outside, which kind of shelters you and protects you from, let's say, what we consider the outside forces. At the same time, we have this delicate geode of lateral, almost Middle Eastern architectural typology of glass on the insides. And so this kind of gives this dichotomy between and balance between materiality, also to reflect in a way the justice system. And then this building itself, when you see it as you drive around Kuwait, is unmissable and will have an elevated civic plaza where you can see the city at one side and also the sea, and the institutional buildings which include the Parliament, Sea Palace, and the National Library and the National Museum in one shot. So it sits at the heart of the institutional area of Kuwait.
So talking about the Palace of Justice, I understand that it is a government-led project. So how different is it, Tarek, to work on government-led project across the region compared to the one that fall under public-private partnerships or obviously are developed by private developers?
Well, I mean, I think it's good to work on both for any practice because one feeds into each other. What's different about the government structures, perhaps some of the upfront bidding process can be a little bit longer because of the different authorities that it has to go through for sign-off. But depending on the agency that you are working with as a client during the design phase, it can vary differently. At the same time, you have to make sure that you're taking into account all the functions of the building, which may be more varied and than probably a specific private development. Private and the public buildings, in fact, they kind of have to live off each other, and you're providing back to the country this public realm when you're doing a government building, which is going to be used by multiple people and has to be used. And therefore, we must be able to design it in a way that's easy to use and friendly to the public and provide kind of institutional value for the organization itself.
So, Tarek, are the challenges within these projects similar, for private developers and obviously government-led projects? Are they similar or are they obviously different because of, the value that they have?
They are all buildings, whether they're infrastructure projects or buildings, that's where the differences may lie. And the typology of work, because we do infrastructure, we do planning, we do property, as in properties, as in buildings.
Yeah.
So the typology may be different, but at the end of the day, you're always building something, and we approach it in the way that we want to make sure that we're fulfilling our mandate as given to us by the government or the private sector, and make sure that we're giving back to our clients the value that they're asking for, because we're here to add value to that process and their project.
Moving ahead, earlier this year, the Public Authority for Housing Welfare in Kuwait collaborated with PAYS to design the future schools of Kuwait that are more student-centered and focus on technological and experiential forms of learning. What was the concept and idea behind the project, and how does it, do you think, transform the way schools are being designed now and in the future?
We won a design competition with the Public Authority for Housing and Welfare, and they have a very specific and urgent need to provide housing to the nationals here in Kuwait. They're developing a series of cities whereby they have actual residential areas, and then they have different services locations within that. And we were lucky enough to win the future schools of Kuwait for them. And we did that by, we weren't reinventing the wheel, but we were adding something new that combined the new technology of learning currently, pre-COVID, we say, but also making sure that all the public spaces within the school are open, transparent, and can be areas of learning. Functional designs, they're sustainable, and there's a lot of passive cooling methods within the building itself to reduce the temperatures for when the kids are playing outside or being taught outside as well. So we have this combination between the two.
So how did you maintain agility during the challenging market period?
Well, I mean, the beginning was a little bit unknown, because some clients proceeded with their work. Some clients, did go on hold and completely stop projects. As you may know, certain governments in the regions stopped their employees from coming to work. We as an organization never stopped working throughout the whole time. Our clients, some of them carried on working, so we had to make sure that we were helping them to achieve their goals, and we did. We also were able to reconnect and get our staff and clients to be able to communicate, as I said earlier, through these digital platforms.
What will keep PAYS busy in the next 2 months, and what are some of the current projects, under construction and the design stage?
For our largest projects here in Kuwait, we've been working on the Asima Tower Mall, which is probably the largest, which is the largest retail development within the city of Kuwait, and it's a new typology of development because it's probably more styled on the Asian model, with about 6 or 7 floors of retail. And then a 56-story tower with associated car parks, hotel, and what have you. So that's a really interesting kind of multi-component project. We continue to deliver the final element of the avenues at Avenues Phase 4. There's the final hospitality element that's about to finish shortly. And with also a number of other projects which we work with here in Kuwait. There's some private residential development projects, which are a collection of, I think, 7 or 8 buildings for a premier developer here. Working on Arab African Bank headquarters in Cairo with our partners SOM. And we're working amongst a few other projects.
What are PAYS' expansion plans in the future? And are you eyeing any new markets in the Arab world, or probably any new sectors for that matter?
Myself firmly believe in our model of growing at a sustainable rate and understanding the markets that we're in. Understanding Bahrain, understanding Saudi, understanding Kuwait, not just the markets, but then also the sectors that we're working in.
Yeah.
Planning, the infrastructure, within property, there's so many different expertise and specialities which we've developed in-house. with healthcare, hospitality, institutional buildings, civic buildings. This is where our kind of concentration is, supported by the digital transformation program that we're going through.
Well, all the best with all your projects, Tarek. And it was a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been really a good talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again. Please don't forget to hit the like button and share the video with your friends and colleagues. We will see you in another interesting episode in the Expert Interview series. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.